So this summer I swapped London for Singapore and I did a summer course at Nanyang Technological University. And I did this through King's because King's has so many opportunities to study abroad at every stage of your degree. But whilst studying there, I also got to explore an incredible city, meet new people, and honestly, I think it was probably one of the best things I've done so far as a uni student. Before I get into all the specifics about studying abroad and studying at NTU, I just want to take a moment to say that studying abroad isn't just about having something to add to your CV or to tell people that you went on holiday. At its core, studying abroad is about learning who you are when you're in an environment that is completely unfamiliar to you. You might already be a little more practiced at this if you're an international student, where you've had to move away from home and to learn the customs of a society that you haven't grown up in. An experience that teaches you not only to be adaptable, but also to be curious about the world, to learn more about how other people have grown up and how other people do things in their day-to-day life. You will meet people who have been raised in a completely different way to you, who know political systems that are different to yours, whose families believe different things to yours. And even then, you will find common ground and you will form friendships, hopefully close friendships. You start to question your own assumptions, such as why do we structure work this way? Why do we define success as a certain way? That shift and that awareness genuinely, I think, stays with you, or at least it stayed with me. That was just a couple of my thoughts about studying abroad, but now I'll get into the specifics about what it was like studying at NTU and generally how my experience was and stuff you can do around Singapore. So before I even got on the flight, NTU had created a Telegram channel for all of us to join, and we could use that as like a hub to meet people on our course, but we also received regular updates from the team. Pretty much made sure that everyone knew what was going on. Oh, and another note is that you have to be on top of your visa requirements and anything else you might need when you're traveling to another country. For Singapore, we had to fill in an arrival card that you have to do up to 3 days before. So the website doesn't actually let you do it further along than 3 days. You have to do it 3 days, 2 days, or 1 day before. It would be a lot of trouble traveling, getting to the airport and realizing you've missed out on filing for a visa or doing an arrival card. We got to stay with roommates, which I actually found kind of exciting because it meant you had a buddy that you could, go around with, make friends with. So you already had someone that you could rely on. I got very lucky because my roommate was a wonderful person. When going there and moving in, it was a whole campus that was connected by a bus route. So there was a blue bus, a red bus, I think a green and brown bus. There was an app that you could use, the NTU Omnibus app I will put up here, that you basically can just track where the bus is, which locations it's going to. It takes around across all of the halls / like accommodations, and then it goes to like a central hub. The main hub that I and my roommate and my friends would get off at was the Lee Wee Nam Library, which also had the Arc, which was where all our lessons were being held. This bus is free for students, but also the bus stops can also connect to the public bus, so the 179 or the 199, and that took us around to the MRT station, which is basically the subway underground. So the campus was actually located in Jurong West, or further from Jurong West, which is the very western side of Singapore. So it was around a 50-ish minute travel to central Singapore, where like the Marina Bay Sands area is and the Merlion and all the other spots like that are. And I really liked that in a way because when you live a little further away from all the hotspots, you kind of are forced to explore the areas surrounding it, such as the Jurong Lake Gardens. If you are in Singapore, please go here. It's massive and they have all sorts of mini gardens like littered around the area. And they are so beautiful. I think I went for 3 days consecutively. I went to them. When it came to the beginning of the course, we actually had an orientation day. We were given an assembly generally about the campus, about the area, about Singapore, but also the important health and safety details such as insurance, what's legal and what's not. There are a lot of things that are not allowed in Singapore, such as eating and drinking on the MRT. You might get fined if you do this. You cannot actually drink alcohol after 10:30 p.m. unless you are in a restaurant or a bar that specifically sells it. So you can't be drinking in public, you can't actually buy it from a 7-Eleven or any other grocery store. So it's just these sort of rules to keep in mind that they were just telling us of. And they also gave us a really helpful talk about who to go to if we need help, and if we have a medical issue, what sort of steps we need to take, such as going to the NTU clinic and getting a doctor's note, and how to inform your tutor or your professor about what to do when you're sick and you can't attend any of your lessons. As far as first impressions go, because this was pretty much everyone's first impression of the course, we felt that we were in very good hands because it seemed like everything had been taken care of and thought of. But after that, we were invited for an activity, like bonding activity, so we get to know each other. They had themed it into like a Squid Game sort of scenario. Teams were given wristbands actually with a color on it, which was where our team would be, and we had to do challenges, get to know other people in our team, and the amount of effort and detail that went into this just so we could get to know each other and have a little bit of fun before the lesson started was so cute. In the main area where lectures are held in the same complex, it's called the North Spine Plaza, is a kind of canteen area that has multiple different stalls that sell different types of food, but also downstairs below that are individual shops and restaurants. But also the food there is very, very well priced, as obviously it's for students, but the quality of it is still great too. If you are in Singapore, you have to try kaya toast. It's a traditional breakfast, and I think I had this like pretty much every morning. Okay, so moving on to the actual course and studying it. So I did labor economics, which is basically a study of labor markets. It encompasses economic concepts, stuff about wages, wage structures, labor unions, trade, inflation, interest rates, all sorts of things that are familiar in economics. Without going into so much detail, because honestly I could talk about this forever, the actual teaching structure was great. Although the lessons are 4 hours long in the morning, so that is something that was a surprise because my uni lessons are only an hour or 2 hours at most. But in general, I think the classes differ based on the subject you're doing. We had a couple of social events that were planned out for us by the team. 2 of them were actually movie nights, which were showing films created in Singapore that kind of encompass Singaporean identity and culture. The first film was called 7 Letters. It was a beautiful film. It consisted of 7 short stories, and I'm so glad they picked that film out because I never would have watched it or known about it if I hadn't attended. The second film we saw was called Our Boys to Men, which is a Singaporean comedy film about a bunch of guys who are sent off to do national service because national service is mandatory in Singapore for young men after they turn 18. But the team had also set out a bunch of tours. So there was a Singapore city tour where they took you around the city to a bunch of different landmarks or popular spots. In the end, you can't travel all the way to Singapore without actually exploring Singapore. There is so much to do in the small amount of time you have, so try to make the effort to plan things out, but also don't over-plan things. Sometimes just knowing the general area you want to be with, walk around, explore, stop by things that look interesting to you. If you see a food stall and the food looks great or you haven't tried it before, please stop by and have a look what it is. Maybe try some if you can. Even if you're not sure you're gonna like it, it never hurts to try. And maybe if you have free time and you're not sure what something is, Google it and maybe you'll learn a new piece of history that you didn't know before. But yeah, that was pretty much a summary of the course. I hope this video was helpful, useful, and or interesting, and I will see you next time.